I'm Mark Davis of B&W News. I'm here today with Patricio Barraz, the President and CEO of Western Potash, which trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol WPX. Pat, good morning.
Good morning.
There's been a major development with your company, whereby you've announced an initial blueprint for a mine by way of a scoping study. Tell me about that.
We've been working for a couple of years now, developing an asset in Saskatchewan. We call it the Milestone Project. And we recently we engaged AMEC of Americas, a fairly large engineering firm, to conduct a feasibility study, or I should say a scoping study, which is really a preliminary economic assessment. It's kind of the first level of engineering that you have to do towards contemplating development of a mine. So what we have announced recently is that asset is basically a world-class asset. It has some very robust numbers, some excellent internal rate of returns, a large NPV of over $5 billion, and I think that somewhere down the line it's going to be a mine that makes this could be a company maker. I think it's that significant.
Now I understand the scoping study indicates that the Milestone deposit promises to be the lowest cost solution extraction mine in the whole of North America. Is that indeed the case?
Well, initial studies, I think, show that our temperatures have shown that we can reduce the cost of energy significantly, meaning at our operating cost level, we should be probably 10% less than some of the peer companies that are contemplating similar mines, and even from Belle Plaine, the one other large solution mine in Saskatchewan.
What differentiates a solution mine from a conventional potash mine?
Well, a solution mine is in effect, what you do is you inject water into the ground where the potash beds exist, and what you do is you create a cavern, because what happens is when you dissolve a salt, or you put water in contact with salt, of course it dissolves. This works exactly the same way. Potassium chloride is a salt, so when you put it in contact with water, then it dissolves into solution. Now, if your temperatures are higher, what ends up happening is you end up putting more potash into that solution for recovery and to take it to surface.
Okay. Now, your only peer in the junior mining sector in Canada is Potash One, which I understand is in the same geological environment as Western Potash and has a similar sized deposit. That said, Potash One has a market capitalization of around $275 million, whereas yours is around $60 million. Can you explain the discrepancy?
I think there's a disparity because we have, first of all, we started out of the gate a little bit later. We started out of the gate basically looking for a brand new deposit where no one had explored for potash before, whereas Potash One basically went to an area that had been tested, and they knew there was going to be potash there, that had been tested a long time ago. So that basically put us behind because they're ahead on some of their engineering work. Having said that, their value hasn't changed very much from the time that they had a similar asset as we have now defined. And I think that we are also a very technically sound team of explorers and mine developers, and we don't have, or we don't enjoy the benefit of having some fairly renowned mining executives like Potash One does. And I think that gives, analysts the impression or the idea that this mine, the toughest thing for our company now is basically securing a partnership with a large mining company or an an entity that's able to finance the development of the mine, which in this case is in the order of about $2.5 billion. So basically, what the investing community believes is that it's very difficult for us to do that, to raise that money. So they're waiting maybe for a signal that we have a partner that's going to do that heavy lifting in terms of financing. I think that there is interest. We have talked to a number of those entities, and they're definitely looking at our information. And so I think that down the line, it's going to be how robust the project is from an economics perspective. That's going to dictate whether our value is justified against something like our peer companies have.
Okay. Now, from a corporate development standpoint, I do understand there's some interesting developments brewing. I believe you're on the verge of a trip to China and elsewhere. Could you elaborate upon that?
Yes, we are talking to a number of entities that could finance the development of a mine at Milestone. We are talking to groups not only in China, in other parts of the world, in Europe, with groups that would have an interest in our asset. And obviously, these things take a while. You need to show them all your data and make sure that your economics work and that they do their due diligence. But we will be looking to perhaps bring in a partner a little bit further down. We think that we can get a pre-feasibility and even maybe up to a feasibility stage study. I think we can handle that. We have the ability, the experience to do that. So we're going to go, I think, ahead and do that type of work, maybe de-risk the project a little bit before we bring in those partners.
Okay. Finally, Pat, what would you suggest would be the key value drivers for Western Potash's share price over the next few months?
Well, in the next little while, obviously, we're going to need to do a little bit of fundraising because we do have some money in the treasury, but to complete a pre-feasibility and a feasibility study, we will require to raise some funds. So obviously, that's one of the things we're going to be doing is going around and talking to institutions and raise some money to carry out our plans. Obviously, that will precipitate our progress in terms of starting. Well, we're actually starting already our pre-feasibility, but obviously that's going to continue and deliver some value. Obviously, de-risking the project, and we're going to continue to talk to potential partners, and obviously keep them abreast of our developments and make sure that they have access to all our data and information that's relevant, so for them to recognize and perhaps take the value that we've created and make it their own.
Thank you very much for your time. It's a very interesting story. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more from Western Potash in the news in the coming months, particularly as the potash sector continues to heat up.